Hi, beloveds. I thought I'd give everyone this message tonight. I want to start it off with a little story. It's about a king, and he had a kingdom. It was the most magnificent kingdom you could ever imagine. And this king, he liked to create, and everything he created, he did out of love. And, you know, he was all by himself forever because that's all that existed was just him in this tiny kingdom. And he was alone, so he decided to create others that looked like him, different statures, looking different, and they were like his court, like a king has a court, and they did certain things for him, like, tend to his needs, and, like kind of like you with a parent and a child later on finds out what their parents need, and they're getting on in years, but this king never aged. He's a wonderful king. They called him the good king. And well, he decided he was going to create another bunch of beings. And, they weren't going to hold court with him, but like in the land, he wanted to fill the land with people. And that's what he did. He brought his children forth into this land, and it was beautiful. And, he said, do everything, everything is good that I created. But there's a certain tree you can't touch. There's a certain road you shouldn't go down. Well, he saw how everyone just looked up to this king. He saw how everything was good, but one of the servants that he created kind of got jealous because the king was spending all his time, like, and here the servant was, doing his bidding day and night. Well, he got tired of it. He wasn't having it because the good king, he was doing everything for all these people that he also created and filled the land with, and he gave them all kinds of beautiful things, stones, different metals, healing properties. Everything had healing. People felt they had illness sometimes, They were eating too much of a good thing, He had he told his subjects, you can't overindulge in things, and he showed them the right way. He was a very, if people had a grudge, they came to him, and he sorted it out. Well, this one servant of his, he just wasn't, like I said, he wasn't having it, and he decided to go down into the, into the land and talk to these people and tell them, hey, you don't know who you are, you don't have to listen to him and his rulings. He's getting a little bit more, telling you can't do this and you can't do that. Well, I'm telling you can, and I'm telling you it's fun, you can do it. Well, the king found out about this, and he was not happy. In fact, he banished that servant and the servants that were with him out into the land. Now, they were different than the other people. They had a little bit more, they were just different. And I can't explain why, but it's just not relevant to the story as of yet. Well, they weren't supposed to partake with certain indulgences in this land. He told when he created these people, he told them he wanted them to keep creating in his, and, be fruitful and populate the lands. And, well, the servants, they weren't supposed to be doing that. They weren't created for that purpose. They were created to look out after the safety of these people and serve the king. So everything started getting ugly. People started warring with each other and hating each other and stealing and jealousy and all these terrible things started happening. Same things that this servant that was angry didn't like. That he just... So he banished the servant, and he kept the kingdom from the rest of the people, because the rest of the people, all the people were messed up because of this servant. Kind of went postal, the servant. So he cut off the kingdom and all the beautiful things that these people could have. And it got ugly. I mean, time passed by. They were banished. The land started looking ugly. They started thinking that they could create things that seemed more magnificent to people than what the king was creating. And it wasn't. It was just destructive. And then children were brought down, and more children were brought forth, and there were, so pretty soon the servants were taking part in this, and there were all kinds of abominations, weird, ugly creatures moving about the land, and the children, there were certain people there yet that still believed and knew how about the good king, and wanted to hear stories about the good king, and wanted to know the good king, and so there were stories written down and passed down. And well, that angry servant who was jealous of the good king, he wanted to be worshipped, because he saw how people still worshiped this king even though all this bad stuff was happening. They still sought him. Well, he decided that he was going to write down little stories, and he had his scribes who were his children, and he started making people divide up into nations, and people started speaking different languages and just warring more and more with each other. And in this book, he made it look like it was written by the king, but it wasn't. It was like plagiarism, an unauthorized biography. And people started thinking, the children that were being brought forth in the land started thinking, oh, well, the king is the reason there's wars, and the king is the reason there's hatred, and, that he wants that if we don't do everything he says, we're going to be burned and tormented. And so they started being obedient to what was written in the book. And that made the evil servant glad. He saw them trying to be like his own children that he created, which were the judges and the mayors of the towns and the scribes, and they formed their own nationality, and their nationality was superior to everyone else's. And so pretty soon everyone was divided by different colors and different understandings and nationalities. And the king's sitting back and he's thinking, that's not how I wanted it. So he sent out the rest of his servants that were good, and they went out trying to fix it and correct the story and send out the message. And they hid little tablets everywhere that said that the king was not this way, and he wants you to seek the truth, and this is what your purpose was. This is how he created you. He created, all the beauty that was before us, and he wants you back in his kingdom, but we can't have this disobedience here. You're gonna want it. So the king decided one day that he himself was going to go out amongst the people, and he was going to look like the other people and behave like the other people, and he could feel what the other people were feeling. Well, the angry servant got word of it, and he told his children and his little kingdom counterfeit kingdom he created, and they decided they wanted to go seek after this guy, because he was going out telling everyone that this is how the king is. He's a good father. He created us all, and your energy, like he is, your energy flows through you like he does. And he created all these stones and grasses and herbs for healing. And meanwhile the evil king was making artificial things that did cure it. It just made you feel like you didn't have it, if you will, like kind of like pills. Kind of see where I'm going with this, don't you? Well, anyways, the good king went out, and he went out and said, I'm the prince. I'm a good prince, and I'm here to set things right. And here's my message, and love each other. That's why you were created, with love. You're to serve the king, serve each other. He says he wants you to learn all that is good, and teach all that is good. And he's coming back. He's going to, judge all of this one day. And he wants most of you in his kingdom, but, some of you are going to just perish out of thin air. There's no torment. The good king isn't like that. Everything he creates with love. Doesn't believe in destruction. But the evil servant lurks about and he wants to destroy you because he's banished. And he will forever live in his torment. And he can't escape it. The good king has only tormented one person, and that's because this being was so evil. He says, you are an energy. You're, like your mind is a capacitor, and your heart is a resonator. And what we think, it resonates. These certain things resonate with us. All our thoughts. And the more and more we generate, the more energy we put out. And everyone has a field around them. A glow. Some have a bright glow. Some have a low glow. Some don't glow at all. But that's their choice. And in fact, if you will remember, a couple of years ago, they didn't want people close at all. And that's because that field around us only extends, like 5 feet, 6 feet apart or more. You can't, feel that other person's energy. And that's what connects us all. You ever meet this person and a friend, or you feel like you just know them and they belong in your life and it feels good to have them. That's that energy you're feeling. You ever just see someone in the street and there's like, wow, there's something about that person. That's from God. That's what this story's about. He's the good king. He made everything good. And then the enemy, Satan, he wants to destroy it all. He hates humanity. He hates God. He hates everything that is God. He wants to be worshipped. He is so jealous of God, and and he knows that, people knew how good God was at one time, and they worshipped him anyways. And people realized how good God was. There would be no question. They're going to do whatever, do good and everything. But Satan's blocked all that. That's why the land is dark over us. And the king wants us with us. We're part of him. We were a spark. We were in the kingdom with him. We were one of his sparks. We were part of his energy. And he wants that energy to come to its full potential and, bring it back to him so we can abide with him forever and he can glory in that creation the rest of his life. Because like a parent, you have a child. The child grows up. You always want that child to come back. And, it's hard, empty nest syndrome, your children grow up and go out in the world and you hope that they still hold on to all the things that are part of you. I'm just saying, this is food for thought. We know a lot of us in the truth community are finding out that we've been lied to about a lot of things. We were lied to about the shape of the earth. It's not a spheroid in the vast nothingness. God is right above us, literally, right above us. But you can't be reached, it's like that kingdom was cut off from the rest of everything because it was poisoned. God had to protect himself. He knew He had an enemy out there. And we can go back to that kingdom. But that's up to us. Or we can be like the angry servant. Get stuck forever. Vanish. Because we listen to the viper and not the good king. You know, love and serve. Teach and learn all that is good. To watch the signs, because he's coming back. Gotta be ready. You know, he comes back and you're not... It's going to be when there's your least expected. He said there'll be a time frame, signs, of his return, but you gotta be ready. Gotta be ready. And, live your life with integrity, with humility, without hatred, greed, or envy. Glow for all the world. He said, be a light unto the world. Discern what is good and what is right. What sounds sane, what doesn't. We're learning everything else we were lied about. God is, He created us sovereign. We are sovereign. He is sovereign. There's no nationality. He did not create nationalities. That is a total lie. And you know where nationality and all that stuff comes from? Middle East. I'll give you a hint. Kosher. That's where all that nationality things. They think they're above everyone. They were the first to create nations. That's where that comes from. And then the races, if God created all plants and animals in different shapes, sizes, colors, and you don't think He created people in the beginning, all different colors, and you think if really there was 2 people and they had 3 boys and had incest, even though the Bible says not to have incest? Incest doesn't make sense anyways. But there were a multitude of people. There's just, you gotta think. What resonates with you? What makes sense? And the Creator, He walked the earth. He wanted to feel as we do. He wanted to get His message out. He wanted to be in touch with His people. He saw the whole world. He spoke to every nation, every tongue. But the evil servant heard about that, and he had his own children seek Him out and kill Him. But guess what? He's God. He rose again. He defeated death. And He did it for us. Because He wasn't happy about what was going on here. He's not a God of destruction, but He's like, wipe it off and start again. No, He wanted to save some of us. He wanted to save all of us, but some people are just going to disappear one day and they're gone. Memory of them gone. No pain, no suffering, but gone. You really want to be a blimp and all this for nothing? No, live for something. Live for God. He's good. Trust me on this. I've seen a lot of things, and I've been blessed with a lot of things that I can't explain. I don't deserve. But I've sought Him my whole life. I've always wanted to know who He was. And He's right there in front of us the whole time. And it's that simple. And people have made it out so bad that you have to conform to a nationality and do all these rituals. God is not ritualistic. He created all this. There was no ritual attached to it. Y'all being ritualistic, and guess what rituals are tied to? Who's ritualistic? Satan, maybe? God's not ritualistic. He doesn't require rituals to obey Him. He just requires you to be good, treat others good, love. The message of Christ. Come on, you're not seeing it. You can't see the forest for the trees? Stop. He said to be like Him. To be like Him. Follow in His way. He was the truth, the way, the life. But y'all are following in the way of the Pharisees, and He did not like them Pharisees. He condemned them. He said they were the children of Satan. We're not our nationalities. I'm not Polish. You know, my neighbor's not Italian. The guy across the street, he black or white, you know, it's one race, human race. Yeah, he's black, different color, but what I mean is you're not your nationality. You are sovereign because you were created sovereign. God didn't create nations. That's not true. And it never resonated with me why that was. No, God wouldn't do it that way. God is good. Okay, so we're not nationalities. He's not a nationality. He's sovereign. We're sovereign. And this whole, you know, if you know anything about how commerce and maritime law works, and, you know, you got the United States, you know, got all these countries, right? And they all have to operate under maritime law because it all goes back to one nation, the devil's nation. He's in, you know, trying to run this whole show. He wants to be worshipped, and, you know, I'm not trying to be hateful. I'm not hateful. But you start talking about vibrations and you know how God created stones and they have healing properties and different herbs, and people lose their mind. They want to know chapter and verse. It's like, okay, you're reading from a book written by the hand of man, and the one version of this book that everyone goes to, most people go to, is written by a king who was the son of Mary Queen of Scots, who was Bloody Mary, and he was a pedophile and a homosexual. And that is all things God detests. So that's where you're, you know, getting your information from. And then we're finding out books were removed, and, you know, it goes back to Rome and the Jews, they kind of had a thing together, and you guys do what you want. But he doesn't want you confined. He doesn't want you locked in the system. He came to free you from those chains. And you're still, you know, it's like you're attached to the wall and you're trying to get almost free, but, you're still tied. Because you're still bowing to some form of conformity of man. Evil man. The children of the devil. But that's not how it is. Seek him with all your heart, mind, and soul, not on your own understanding or that which is in the world, that which God gives you. He will show you the way if you trust him. Listen with your ears, see with your eyes, with him. Go directly to him, not a book, not a tablet. Go to him. Get out in nature. Walk barefoot in the grass. Well, not in winter in Michigan, because here in Michigan it's getting to be pretty cold out. But anytime you got a chance to earth and connect to nature, you connect with the higher power. You connect to our Creator, our Father, and he is good. And you got to trust that. I wish you all love and peace, and, you know, keep that energy high, and keep that high vibration. Share it with the world. Give, love, laugh, and lift up. God bless you all. I love you. Amen.